So if you were one of the lucky ones that ended up getting one of our Scent Club mystery boxes, then you probably found the sample in there from a house called, the brand new house called Olibanum and SACRA. This is the fragrance right here, and Olibanum was the fragrance, the sample that was featured in there. In today's video, I'm going to go over a huge box of their fragrances. It's a brand new house, sister house to Histoire de Parfums, or I should say the same folks that launched Histoire de Parfums many years ago have now launched this more simplistic house, and each of the fragrances focuses on an individual kind of a note. They're simplistic fragrances, and they are really great, I think. Some of them are really great. You can also layer them together to create unique creations with them. So I'm going to go over all of these fragrances really quickly, smell on camera, and let you know about them. So find out all about Olibanum coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Have you discovered this house yet? What did you think of the sample of SACRA? So I have a friend that's obsessed with this fragrance, constantly buys bottles and wears them. And I actually introduced the fragrance to my friend. And actually, I discovered the house last year at Essence in 2022. And there I ended up with some samples of this fragrance. And that's how my friend discovered it. So ended up really liking it. And I enjoy the fragrance. It's kind of incensey and resinous, and I thought it would be a great introduction to include in the Scent Club mystery box. So today I'm going to talk about the brand, let you know a little details, and we have a discount code as well. It's the Perfume Guy 10, saves 10% off on all of the fragrances on their website, which is linked in the info box. And the 50 ml is $95. There's also a 12 ml like this. I'll show you. And those are $35. And of course, you can take 10% off the entire bill. The 10 ml comes like this, and I don't know how the 12 ml. I believe it's a little more simplistic packaging with the 12 mls. At least I think the 50 ml comes like this. I could be wrong, but this was all sent to me because I had discovered the brand at Essence last year, and they are just making their way or debut here in the States, so I wanted to highlight the brand. So why don't we go ahead and start off with one of the fragrances called Ambrette. And Ambrette I speak about on the channel. Have you guys discovered this note? If you don't know much about this brand, I'm telling you about them, but wanted to clarify that each fragrance is named after an ingredient or note, most of them. And this one is Ambrette, this one right here. Ambrette is a very interesting musky note that I really, really enjoy. And it's an all-natural musky ingredient, kind of a vegetal smell, powdery, musky, but fruity, maybe a little boozy. If you're a fan of Ambrette, do let me know. What is it that you like about it? This one is Ambrette and Olibanum. Olibanum is a resin. It's an incense note. For me, this is very powdery. And I can smell the muskiness of the Ambrette, which is one of my favorite notes. I like this. I like musky fragrances in general. And this Ambrette note can come off a bit fruity. Most of the time it's a bit vegetal for me. And definitely always powdery as well. It's really pleasant here. It kind of does remind me a little bit of SACRA because it's got that same powderiness. And of course SACRA is Olibanum. It's got that note in there. So this goes into a bit of a more musky direction with the Olibanum and the Ambrette seeds. So next we have Cardamom, this one right here. Are you a fan of cardamom in fragrances? I like how cardamom can freshen things up in a spicy way. And this cardamom has notes of cardamom, lavender, cedarwood, and patchouli. Well, this is pretty substantial fragrance here. The last one was a bit subdued, the Ambrette. But here we have, with cardamom, it's very pungent with its cardamom smell. But there are, the lavender has this kind of herbal touch. And then, of course, the patchouli and cedarwood. This is actually quite good right here. So, cardamom, I would layer cardamom with something like Ambrette, because Ambrette is a bit subdued. And you can kind of make an interesting, concoction or creation, because one of the fragrances is pretty loud and the other one is not so loud. So let's try CUIR VEGETAL, this one right here. So meaning it's leather, a vegetal leather. So it has notes of leather, Atlas, Virginia cedarwood. So 2 notes. This smells like leather. Wow, this is actually really good. It's definitely got a bit of a vegetal vibe for sure. Very interesting. So going over these fragrances on camera here for you, I can kind of figure out how I can layer these things together. So the Ambrette would layer with the CUIR vegetal as well. Remember I said Ambrette has these vegetal touches. Next we're going to try Gingembre, this one right here. Gingembre is ginger, basically. Been really falling in love with ginger. Interesting. Wow. So this one kind of sprayed kind of not very interesting, but it's developing quite nicely. It's ginger, citruses, woody caramel. Powdery once again, so I feel like this fragrance house has very powdery touches. But that ginger's zing and spice is screaming out of all the powder that's here. Woody caramel note is one of the notes here. This one's actually quite nice. Very pleasant. Next, it's Iris, this one right here. If you are familiar with this house, do let me know and what you think about them. It's a given that Iris is going to be powdery. This whole house is very powdery. And you've got the kind of buttery touches as well. Violet is definitely prominent because this is Iris, Jasmine, and Violet. So these fragrances are simplistic. They're a bit minimalistic. And I feel like you can, layer them here with these fragrances if you have others. Or if you have something that needs something. Like let's say you have a fragrance that you think Iris would make a great addition to it because it's kind of minimalistic. You would add Iris to it. And this is kind of a pick and choose kind of a thing. Almost like you can buy some various ones, small ones, and see how they would work together, because you can like blend your own mixes and make your own creations with them. All right, so next we have MATÉ. MATÉ is becoming very popular lately. I find it to be kind of green tea-ish and also kind of grassy, bitter. Earthiness is there as well, but this one has notes of MATÉ, green fig accord, and aquatic mint. This one's a bit subdued as well, just like the first one. Not screaming out, but I can see all that greenness under there. Very green for sure. Some light fruitiness, or maybe it's the aquatic mint. There's something fruity in there, and it says green fig accords. Maybe they've thrown in the actual fruit of the figs. So that is MATÉ. So next it's Opoponax, this one right here. Opoponax is a relative of myrrh. We spoke about myrrh recently. If you haven't caught that video, please go catch it. Oh, this is very myrrh-like. Oh, actually, this is really good. This is very ambery, and I can totally smell the Opoponax, the Citsus, or the Labdanum note with the Tonka beans. The Tonka beans adds a bit of creamy, bitter almondiness, but this kind of creates an amber. It's also got some fizzy vibe, kind of licorice-y, Coca-Cola-esque. This one's really good. So I would actually combine that with the Ambrette for sure. Or the Iris. The cardamom might be a bit too much. Oh, wow. The Opoponax is really, really great. Really love that one. Really do. Although I do enjoy resinous fragrances. So next we've got Osmanthus, this one right here. And this is a flower that can be drank as a tea. In China, I believe they drink that as a tea. And it creates a fruity, stone fruit-like smell and fragrances. Also can go leathery as well. So Osmanthus, very fruity. Typical Osmanthus-like smell. Light leather under there, but woods and rose. Yeah, these are very simplistic. These are the only notes. I'm sure you'll find other accords when you're wearing them. But to me, it's fruity in a floral kind of a way with the rose. And of course, it's a bit woody in the dry down. The whole house seems to be very dry. And they mentioned dry woods for that fragrance. So makes sense. Then we've got Oud, this one right here. You a fan of Oud? Are you bored of Oud? So this one says it's a typical combo of the woods and Oud along with rose. Yeah. It's woods and oud. It's a bit Opoponax-like, not Opoponax, what am I saying? Olibanum-like. There's definitely probably the DNA of SACRA running throughout all of the fragrances. I get that. But this is very cold, not very warm whatsoever. And then the rose is not very prominent in this one. Simplistic wear, but definitely oudy. This is oud from Olibanum. Next, it's Patchouli, this one right here. My favorite note. Really love this stuff. This is Patchouli, Cocoa, and Cashmeran. Yeah, Cocoa goes with Patchouli because you do get a chocolatey vibe from it. This Patchouli is a Patchouli that I like, but it's not necessarily warm, so I'm not getting a lot of chocolatiness. It's more dusting of powdery cocoa rather than chocolate. Still good. Very... I think this is a minimalistic wear. It's still, once again, powdery, and I feel like that SACRA DNA with the Olibanum is in the DNA of this fragrance. So that is Patchouli. Next, we've got Rose. This is Rose. If anybody has heard of anything great so far, let me know what sounds great to you as far as what I'm smelling. Oh, this one I could smell. This is a rose. This is a rose. It's rose. No, this is a good rose. It's a bit fruity, the red berries, but it's a fruity rose. But not overdosed with the fruitiness, though. That's good. Now, I would add that with the oud. Definitely. I would add that with the SACRA. I would add that with the Ambrette. This one goes with the iris. The iris had the violet, so add the rose to the iris, and you get a makeup effect. I'm not sure you can add it with anything else. Maybe even the Opoponax. You know, boost up its rosiness if there's any rose in there. But this is really good, the rose. So next we've got SACRA, which was in the mystery box. So the notes for this one is mineral resins and fir balsam. And I really like this. This is musky, minerally, dry, powdery, and a, you know, kind of green and fir, like pine and fir. Really great. And it also smells a bit like pencil shavings as well. Then we've got Saffron, this one right here. Saffron is a very popular Middle Eastern note, and I see it come up in a lot of Middle Eastern style fragrances. This is saffron, spices, and vanilla. Typical saffron-like note. Very spicy. A bit leathery for sure. Saffron creates that leather touch. But more of a fabric-like leather rather than an animalic leather for me. I actually like this one. This one actually with the rose would be perfect. Because saffron, there's not necessarily a rosiness, but I feel like they would combine really nicely together because you see it in a lot of fragrances. You see rose and saffron combined together all the time. So I think the rose and saffron would be perfect. All right, next we've got Santal, this one right here. Who's a fan of sandalwood? I've been meaning to update my sandalwood video sometime soon, so hopefully that'll go up someday soon. It's been a while. So this is sandalwood, Ylang-Ylang, and roasted cumin. So this sandalwood is a bit sour. Or is that from the Ylang-Ylang? It's definitely woody, but not the very creamy kind. This is a bit dry. Remember, the whole brand seems on the dry, powdery side. So this one kind of goes in that direction. I'm not picking up the cumin, but most likely that cumin's going to appear on my skin when I wear it. This one also can be layered with that rose. I think that rose is just perfect. Just adds that kind of excitement to fragrances, because this one needs something. Anyway, Santal. Next, we've got Tuberose, this one right here. Who's a fan of Tuberose? Tuberose is Tuberose and Ylang-Ylang. So this Tuberose is really Tuberose, like in your face. Like imagine taking Fracas from Robert Piguet. It kind of smells like that, but this one actually is a bit rubbery. Rubbery and leathery. I'm not sure where I'm getting that. Maybe it's the Ylang-Ylang. Because the Ylang-Ylang is very prominent in here as well. And I think these two notes do go really nicely together. I'm wondering what I can mesh this with. I think I can put the leather, the CUIR VEGETAL with this one because I get a leathery touch already. Perhaps the patchouli, the iris might go with this one as well. Very interesting. I kind of like the idea of layering. These are perfect for, you know, combining together. Next, it's vanille. So this is a vanilla, and it's vanilla and cade. Who's a fan of vanilla? I know there's a lot of you out there because I'm a fan. I'm assuming you watch me because I'm obsessed with vanilla. This is very vanillic. Not necessarily very sugary sweet. And it must be that cade that's kind of toning it down. Once again, very simplistic. You can combine this with that leather, the CUIR VEGETAL. You can actually add this to the Opoponax to kind of intensify its sweetness. You can probably add this to the cardamom. The cardamom would give it that spice. Yeah, there's a lot of, you know, interesting combinations you can do with this one. So that's vanille. Again, these are very simplistic fragrances. Wear them on their own or use them to layer with other fragrances. The next one is vetiver, this one right here. I'm a fan of vetiver. Lately I've been bored of it, but I'm a fan. Oh, this is a great vetiver. Very fresh. This one's good. I like the combination of the vetiver, the mandarin, and the geranium. So this has geranium. I would add the rose to this because geranium has rose-like qualities. You can intensify the rose in this. You can add this to the CUIR VEGETAL. I think you can also add it to the ginger. The ginger would zing it up. This is good. The vetiver is great. I think you can wear that on its own too. It's very fresh. And last but not least, it's yuzu. This one right here. We didn't get a lot of citruses, if any. So this is the one and only citrus. Let's smell this. It says it's yuzu and mandarin. I like that combination. Ooh, I can smell the skin. The citrus skin. Oh, wow. It's a bit salty. Yuzu kind of has a saltiness typically. Wow, this one actually with the vetiver was going to be perfect. With the ginger, with the cardamom, even with the MATÉ, even the Osmanthus. Because citruses are very light and it blends in with a lot. You can actually even add it to the vanille to give it a, you know, citrus boost. That's actually good. Very salty yuzu, kind of grapefruity. Anyway, those are it. So we went through a ton of fragrances really quickly. First impressions on some of them are good. Some I didn't really care for, but maybe they need skin to, you know, react the way I want it to react. But I think it's a fun collection. They're only 50 ml for $95 and 12 ml for $35. They're Eau De Parfum Concentration. I think you can wear them individually. As I said, I have a friend that wears this one, is obsessed with it. I think that actually is the kind of the DNA of the fragrance house. I think they're using that quite a bit because I smelled it in a lot of those fragrances. But you can wear them individually and you can also wear them layered together if you end up buying this whole box or a bunch of different ones. Again, they're very simplistic fragrances. If you're looking for beast mode, these are not them. Definitely not. But those of you that like simplistic fragrances, these might be perfect for you. Don't forget to take advantage of the discount code. It's the Perfume Guide 10, and that saves you 10% off. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Do let me know what you think about this collection. What sounds great to you, or does it not excite you with any of the fragrances I discussed? Again, each of the fragrances is named after what the fragrance is going to smell like, except for SACRA, which is the mineral resins and fir balsam, which is basically what Olibanum is, the mineral resins. Put some comments down below so I can find out. Either way, thanks so much for watching today. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.